Good morning, dear children. Today we will do lesson number 11, Transportation in Animals and Plants, part 2 in Science. That kidney from the kidney it here travels from to the ureters to the urinary bladder. From this urinary bladder it goes to the urethra, and this is the urinary opening from where it is removed out from the body. This is the entire excretory system of a human body. ये ह्यूमन बॉडी का एक्सक्रीटरी सिस्टम है. यहाँ से ये देख सकते हैं जो ब्लू है तो ये किडनीज के अंदर फिल्टर होता है, और जो भी वेस्ट होता है वो किडनी से इस ट्यूब के जो अंदर से यूरिनरी ब्लैडर में आता है, वहाँ से यूरेथ्रा में आता है, और वहाँ से जो यूरिनरी ओपनिंग होती है वहाँ से वो रिमूव हो जाता है. It is stored in the bladder and is passed out through the urinary opening at the end of the muscular tube called the urethra. The kidneys, ureterus, bladder and the urethra form the excretory system. So these are all the organs form an excretory system in the human body. An adult human being normally passes about 1 to 1.8 liters of urine in 24 hours. The urine consists of 95% of water and 2.5% of urea and 2.5% other waste products. मतलब जो है normally in 24 hours, a normal human being, if your body works well, if your heart and all the body organs are working properly, kidneys are functioning properly, then in a day, in an average 24 hours, 1 to 1.8 liters of urine is passed out in 24 hours, and the urine contains 95% of it is water, then 2.5% is urea, and 2.5% are the other waste substances that are present in it. We have also experienced that we sweat a lot during the hot summer days. Now there are certain other mode of removal of waste from the body, that is the sweat, and that happens mostly during the summer season. With the sweat also many of the waste products or the waste substances are removed from the body. The sweat constitutes water and salts. Now, in the sweat, what is removed from the body is the salts. The excess salts that are present in our body are removed mixed with water as sweat. Bujo has said that sometimes in summer, white patches are formed on our clothes, especially in the areas like underarms. These marks are left by the salt present in the sweat. Now you know that during the summer season we sweat a lot, and with the water, the salts, certain salts which are excess in our body gets dissolved in the water. Water that is removed from the body as a sweat, उस water के साथ dissolve होकर हमारे body से बाहर निकलते हैं. और many a time, how do you know that we are sweating? The salts are removed from the body because many a times you might see that in your clothes you might feel when you sweat a lot, at certain places you can see the white patches come out. Those white patches is the presence of the salt in the sweat that makes those patches. So ऐसे बहुत सारे बार ऐसा होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा गर्मी होती है, then those marks where it becomes white, that means that salt is removed from the body. वो patches salt के ही बनते हैं. Does sweat serve any other function? We know that water kept in an earthen pot or matka is cooler. This is because the water evaporates from the pores of the pot, which causes cooling. Now, as we know, what is the importance of the sweat in our body now? Because in the summer we feel very hot, और sweat होता है, मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना होने का भी कुछ रीज़न होता है. अब एक एग्जाम्पल है यहाँ पर कि हम जब गर्मी में एक मटके के अंदर या पॉट के अंदर पानी भरते हैं, अनर्दन पॉट, मिट्टी का घड़ा होता है, उसके अंदर पानी भरते हैं, तो इट कीप्स द वाटर इनसाइड द पॉट ऑलवेज is cool. The reason is that because from the pores of the water, the water always evaporates from the pores of the water, and which keeps the water, the outer walls of the pot cool. And because the outer walls of the pot are cool, the water inside the pot also remains cool. The body of the pot is cooled by the water coming out from the pores of the pot. जो मिट्टी का घड़ा होता है उसमें से कंटिन्यूसली धीमे 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 बहुत स्लोली जो है पानी जो उसके अंदर से निकलता रहता है, और वो पानी जो है मटके को ठंडा रखता है, और जब मटका ठंडा रहता है तो जो मटके के अंदर जो हमने पानी भरा हुआ है वो भी कूल रहता है. द सेम वे द सेम प्रोसेस हियर इज एक्सप्लेन्ड टू द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ स्वेट. कि हमको जब बहुत पसीना आता है, गर्मी में क्या होता है, टेम्परेचर इज ऑल्सो हाई एंड आवर बॉडी टेम्परेचर also sometimes increases because of the heat in the atmosphere. So the sweat keeps our body cool. The water that is coming out of as a sweat from our body maintains the body temperature. If the sweat doesn't come out, our body temperature will increase considerably, which might harm our body. So the sweat helps in controlling the body temperature during the summer season. It keeps our body cool. The way in which the waste chemicals are removed from the body. Waste chemicals are removed from the body of the animals depend on the availability of water. Aquatic animals like fishes excrete cell waste as the ammonia, which directly dissolves in water. Some land animals like birds, lizards, snakes excrete a semi-solid white colored compound, uric acid. The major excretory product is in the human is urea. Now all the animals living in the different surroundings, some living in water, some living on land, so they also, it depends upon the place where they live. तो जहाँ पर वो रहते हैं उस हिसाब, जैसे फिशेस होती हैं तो वो अमोनिया रिलीज करती हैं एज देयर एक्सक्रीटरी वेस्ट, सो इट इज दैट इज रिलीज्ड, सो इट गेट्स डिसॉल्व इन द वाटर ओनली. लेकिन जो एनिमल्स लैंड पे रहते हैं तो वो क्या, एक सेमी सॉलिड वाइट वेस्ट जो होता है, दैट इज द यूरिक एसिड दैट इज थ्रोन आउट ऑफ देयर बॉडी, दैट वेस्ट इज रिमूव फ्रॉम द बॉडी. और जो मेजर एक्सक्रीटरी प्रोडक्ट है इन ह्यूमन, दैट इज द यूरिया इज द मेजर एक्सक्रीटरी प्रोडक्ट इन humans. Sometimes a person's kidneys may stop working due to infection or injury. As a result, the kidney failure waste products starts accumulating in the body. Such person cannot survive unless their blood is filtered periodically through an artificial kidney. This process is called as dialysis. Now, there are many reasons. See, kidney has a very important role to play in our body, because if the kidney doesn't function properly, the waste will not be removed out of our body. तो जब वेस्ट रिमूव नहीं होगा तो कंटिन्यूसली द वेस्ट विल कीप ऑन accumulating in the body, that will produce a lot of toxics in the body, and those toxics will start getting dissolved in our blood and ultimately may be fatal to us. So if the person's kidney is not functioning properly, if even one kidney is functioning, it is good, but if both the kidneys are not functioning properly, then a person has to take the help of an artificial kidney, which is the total it's a process, it's a long and काफ़ी तकलीफ वाला प्रोसेस होता है, विच इज़ कॉल्ड एज द डायलिसिस. विद द हेल्प ऑफ द डायलिसिस, वो पूरा एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट होता है उसके अंदर जो कि आपकी किडनी के जैसे फंक्शन करता है और आपके बॉडी में जितने टॉक्सिक्स हैं वो बाहर निकालता है. तो उससे जो जैसा किडनी का फंक्शन होता है वैसे वो डायलिसिस मशीन का फंक्शन होता है आपके बॉडी से वेस्ट निकालने के लिए. दैट इज़ द आर्टिफिशियल किडनी, यू कैन से. Transportation of substances in the plants. You have learned that plants take water and minerals, nutrients from the soil through the roots and transport it to the leaves. The leaves prepare food for the plants using water and carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. As we all know that the roots of the plants which are under the ground, they only absorb the minerals from the soil or from the water, the minerals that are dissolved in water, and then they transport it to the leaves, and leaves in turn prepare the food for the plants with the help of carbon dioxide, sunlight and water, and chlorophyll, which is called as the photosynthesis. Now, the food is the source of energy, and every cell of an organism gets energy by the breakdown of glucose. The cells use this energy to carry out the vital activities of life. Therefore, food must be made available to every cell of an organism. However, wondered how water and nutrients absorbed by the root are transported to the leaves. How is the food prepared by the leaves carried to the plants which cannot make food? Now, we all know that we need the energy to do the work, and that energy we get by the breakdown of the food, which is in the form of a glucose. That glucose breaks down and releases the energy. Now this energy has to be transported to or distributed to each and every cell of any living organisms. Then only that living organism will function properly. If the cells will not get the energy properly, their vital activities that they are doing will be affected. So the leaves that prepare the food for the plants, it then is transported to the each and every part of the plant which does not prepare the food. It is the leaves, the green part of the plant, that prepares the food. The remaining other part of the plant gets the food from the leaves, that is the food that is prepared by the leaves. It is transported to the different parts of the plant. How the transportation takes place, let us study that. Transport of water and minerals. Plants absorb water and minerals by the roots. You can see this is a section of root that is given here. This is the soil and this is the root. This is the root hair that is there. Now these root hair absorbs the minerals and the nutrients from the soil. The root have root hairs. जो एक जड़ होती है उसके साथ छोटे छोटे, बहुत छोटे छोटे से रूट हेयर्स होते हैं. द रूट हेयर इंक्रीजेस द सरफेस एरिया ऑफ द रूट फॉर द एब्सॉर्प्शन ऑफ वाटर एंड मिनरल्स एंड न्यूट्रिएंट्स डिसॉल्व इन द वाटर. नाउ दिस रूट हेयर जो है, रूट हेयर्स जो होते हैं वही हेल्प करते हैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, बिकॉज दे इंक्रीज द सरफेस एरिया ऑफ द रूट. मतलब रूट्स जो हैं ज़्यादा जगह तक पहुँच सकते हैं, ज़्यादा मिट्टी तक पहुँच सकते हैं. इसलिए जो मिनरल्स होते हैं या न्यूट्रिएंट्स होते हैं पानी के अंदर डिसॉल्व करके जो हम डालते हैं मिट्टी में, तो वो उससे ज़्यादा एब्जॉर्ब कर सकते हैं और अच्छे से एब्जॉर्ब करते हैं. The root hair is in contact with the water present between the soil particles. Now because they are so tiny, so they can easily be present anywhere between the space that is present in the soil. तो ये जो soil particles के बीच में तो space होता है, वहाँ पर ये root hairs होते हैं. Can you guess how water moves from the root to the leaves? What kind of transport system is present in the plants? Now from the roots, ठीक है, चलो root absorbs the water and mineral and nutrients that is present in the soil, which is dissolved in the water, and it is present in the soil and that is absorbed by it. But how from the roots that is transported to each and every part of the body? अब इतना बड़ा जो पेड़ हो जाता है, बहुत बड़ा सा पेड़ हो तो उसमें तो कितने ब्रांचेस होंगे, कितने सारे लीव्स होंगे, वो कैसे ये ट्रांसपोर्ट होता है, दैट वी हैव टू लर्न नाउ. You can see this is a big tree. यहाँ पे पूरा आपने देखा. Bujo thinks that the plants may have pipes to transport water to the entire plant like we have in our homes for supply of water. अब बूझो क्या सोचता है कि जैसे हमारे घर में हम पानी जो है पाइप से भरते हैं, वैसे ही प्लांट्स का भी क्या होता है, उनके अंदर छोटे छोटे से पाइप्स फिट है जो कि सारे वाटर एंड मिनरल्स को जो है ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हैं. Moving on to page number 129. Well, Pujo is right. Plants have the pipe-like vessels to transport water and nutrients from the soil. So, there are very, very small pipe-like structures present in the plants for the transportation of all the vital nutrients and from the soil. The vessels are made of special cells forming the vascular tissues. Forming the vascular tissues. A tissue is a group of cells that perform specialized functions in an organism. So these सेल्स जो होते हैं, ये जो स्पेशल टाइप के जो सेल्स होते हैं, वेसल्स होती हैं, वो एक स्पेशल टाइप के सेल्स में से बने हुए होते हैं, विच इज़ कॉल्ड एज द वैस्कुलर टिश्यूज़. और एक टिश्यू क्या होता है, अ ग्रुप ऑफ सेल्स होता है जो एक स्पेशलाइज्ड, मतलब एक स्पेशल फंक्शन को परफॉर्म करता है इन एनी ऑर्गेनिजम्स. द वैस्कुलर टिश्यू फॉर द ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ वाटर एंड न्यूट्रिएंट्स इन द प्लांट इज कॉल्ड एज द जाइलम. एंड दीज वैस्कुलर टिश्यूज इन द प्लांट्स दैट ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑल द वाइटल न्यूट्रिएंट्स टू द प्लांट, टू द every part of the plant, that is called as the xylem. ये जो वेस्कुलर टिश्यूज होते हैं जो ले जाते हैं न्यूट्रिएंट्स को रूट से लेकर टू द डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट दे सप्लाई, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द xylem. The xylem forms a continuous network of channels that connects roots to the leaves throughout the stem and branches, and thus transports water and to the entire plant. Now, to the entire plant, there is a network of these fine vessels. The xylem का पूरा नेटवर्क होता है प्लांट्स के अंदर, जैसे कि एक हमारे बॉडी के अंदर जो कैपिलरीज का, आर्टरीज का और वेन्स का जैसे एक नेटवर्क होता है टू सप्लाई द ब्लड, द सेम वे द जाइलम ऑल्सो हैज़ अ टोटल कंप्लीट नेटवर्क ऑफ टू ईच एंड एवरी पार्ट, जैसे सारे लीव्स के साथ, सारे ब्रांचेस के साथ, सारे स्टेम्स के साथ, जितने भी पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट के साथ है, सबके साथ जो है पूरा एक नेटवर्क होता है, और इस तरीके से all the nutrients and water and different substances are supplied to the plants. You know that the leaves synthesize food. The food has to be transported to all parts of the plant. This is done by vascular tissue called phloem. The xylem and phloem transport substances to the plants. Now there's another vascular tissue which is called as the phloem. Now leaves synthesize the food. We all know that leaves make the food for the plants. The food has to be transported to all parts of the body. जैसे रूट्स में से मिनरल्स और वाटर से भी एब्जॉर्व करते हैं, और वो जो है जाइलम के थ्रू सारे प्लांट्स में जो है डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया जाता है, वैसे ही there's another set of vascular tissues which is called as the phloem, which distributes the food that is produced by the leaves to the different parts of the plant, to the parts of the plant which cannot make their own food. Only leaves can make their own food. Their branches are there, stems are there, roots are there. तो उन सबको जो खाना पहुंचाने के लिए फोलम करके एक वेस्कुलर टिश्यू आता है, वो फूड ट्रांसपोर्ट करता है. Now there is a small activity which is activity 11.3. We require a glass tumbler, water, a red ink, a tender herb like balsamy and a blade for this activity. Now in this activity we are going to show how the water is absorbed. Now तो इसके लिए हमको क्या चाहिए, एक ग्लास टम्बलर और ग्लास वेसल, रेड इंक, अ टेंडर हर्ब, मतलब बहुत ही सॉफ्ट एक हर्ब चाहिए, एंड देयर इज वन ब्लेड रिक्वायर्ड फॉर दिस. Pour water and to fill 1/3 of the tumbler. Add few drops of red ink in the water. Cut the base of the stem of the herb and place it in the glass tumbler. Now what you have to do is like this. You have to take a little bit of water, 1/3 of water in this glass, and then a few drops of red ink to make the water red. Now you have to just cut the stem of that herb and put it in the glass tumbler. Observe it the next day. अब आप उसको next day observe करेंगे. Then what is your observation that you have to see? You can see this is the stem here placed in the colored water, and then यहाँ पर क्या है, water moves up in the stem. Enlarged view of the open end of the stem. This is the open end of the stem. ये जो है ये end stem का open end है, जहाँ कट करा हुआ end है, जहाँ से ये पानी को absorb करता है, जिसको हमने ये पानी के अंदर रखा है, this part. Does any part of the herb appear red? If yes, how do you think the color reached there? You can cut the stem across and look at the red color inside the stem. अब हमको next day when we will observe, we can find that some part of this has become red. तो red क्यों हुआ? क्योंकि जो water के साथ जो भी nutrients जो water के साथ जाते हैं, वैसे ही ये red color भी water के साथ जो है transport हुआ to the different part of the plant. From this activity, we can see that water moves up the stem. In other words, stem conducts water. Just like the red ink, minerals dissolved in water also move up the stem. So what does that mean? That the stem conducts the water toward upwards. मतलब stem से जो पानी है वो ऊपर की तरफ जो है सारा जाता है. जैसे हमको stem के अंदर red color दिखाई दिया, that means it has been absorbed. That red color has been absorbed by the stem which was dissolved in the water. Same way, all the nutrients and the minerals that are dissolved in the water are same way taken away by the stems. Minerals dissolved in the water also move up the stem along the water. Water and minerals go to the leaves and other parts of the plant through narrow tubes, xylem inside the stem. और इस तरीके से पानी क्या होता है, जो है धीमे धीमे पानी अंदर जो नैरो ट्यूब्स जो जाइलम होती हैं, जो नेटवर्क ऑफ पूरा ट्यूब वेस्कुलर टिश्यूज़ है, उसके अंदर जो है वो जाके पूरे प्लांट के अंदर पानी जो है पहुंचाती है. Moving, this is next is your transpiration. This was the transportation of the nutrients to the body. As we intake the water and remove the water, the waste water from the body, same way the plants also, plants में भी waste develop होता है, और जो उनको require नहीं होता है, उनकी requirement नहीं होती है, that is thrown out by them also. Now transpiration. You have learned that the plants release a lot of water by the process of transpiration. अब जो पानी जो है transpiration के through release भी होता है. Plants absorb minerals and nutrients and water from the soil. Not all water is absorbed is utilized by the plant. The water evaporates through the stomata present on the surface of the leaves by the process of transpiration. अब जितना भी nutrients या water जो भी absorb करते हैं, water is absorbed by the roots. Everything is not required by the plants. There are certain things which they don't require also. As we have the waste in our body, the same way the waste is also there are certain wastes that are there in the body also which they don't require. Now the water evaporates through the stomata. You know that on the leaves there are very small tiny openings are present, which is called as the stomata. The excess water, the water which is not required by the plant, it gets evaporated through the stomata which is present on the leaves. And this process of removing of the evaporating of water through stomata is called as the transpiration. The evaporation of water from the leaves generate a suction pull the same way that you produce when you suck water through a straw, which can pull water to great heights in the tall trees. Transpiration also cools the plant. Now, when the evaporation of water takes place in the leaves, it generates a suction pull. मतलब एक तरीका का suction generate करता है जिससे कि पानी जो है, जैसे कि हम straw में से पानी पीते तो कैसे suction develop होता है, वैसे ही एक suction जो है इसमें भी develop होता है जब ये transpiration का process होता है. और इससे क्या होता है, पानी जो है बहुत ऊपर तक जो ऊंचे ऊंचे पेड़ों में पानी पहुंचता है. और ट्रांसपीरेशन की वजह से, जैसे हम स्वेट की वजह से, बिकॉज ऑफ द स्वेट इन द समर आवर बॉडी टेम्परेचर goes down, the body remains cool. The same way with the help of the transpiration, the temperature of the body या जो of the tree also goes down. मतलब कि tree का जो को भी cool रखने के लिए transpiration is very important. Transpiration keeps the body the tree cool. जो plants होते हैं उनको cool रखता है. जैसे हमारा temperature, हम body temperature maintain करने के लिए sweating होता है, सेम वे प्लांट्स को भी कूल रखने के लिए ट्रांसपीरेशन का प्रोसेस है. सो विद दिस वी कम टू द एंड ऑफ द लेसन नंबर 11. नाउ विल स्टार्ट द एक्सरसाइज इन द वर्कबुक एंड इन द टेक्स्ट बुक ऑल्सो. Now first we'll do the hard words that are written here. These are certain hard words or the key words that you have to write it in your notebook one time. This is ammonia, artery, blood vessels, capillary circulatory system, dialysis, excretion, excretory system, hemoglobin, heartbeat, kidneys, phloem, plasma, platelets, pulse, red blood cells, root hair, stethoscope, sweat, tissue, urea, urethra, uric acid, urinary bladder, vein, white blood cells, and xylem. Now, next is your exercise. This is your match that you have to write it in your notebook. Then these are your fill in the blanks that also you have to write it in your notebook one time. Then next is your, these are the two MCQs that are there. So that also you will write it in your notebook one time. All the exercises you will write it in your notebook one time. Now we will move on to the workbook part.